If you like crochet and you like amigurumi, you're in the right place. I've got lots of FOs and whips to show you today, so stick around and let's get started. Hi, welcome back to Stitchity Doodle. It's Gail and
Miko.
Miko's back today, guys. I've missed her so much. I was watching my last episode and I didn't realize how somber I was without her, so I'm glad to have her back.
Yay.
My first finished object comes from this book by Mari-Liis Lille. I chose Tummy Teddy, who is featured on the front cover. I showed her to you in my last podcast episode, and she was pretty much done except for her face. Now I finished her up, so she's all done. I sewed on her snout, her nose, gave her some eye details, eyebrows, some freckles, and blush. Last time I spoke to you about some options that I was considering for attaching her snout and nose, her snout particularly because it is made out of woven cotton fabric. And the two options were to use fusible interfacing or needle turn applique. And I ended up doing the needle turn applique. I used a pink embroidery floss to attach it on. But if you look closely, you can tell and you can see the texture of the crochet stitches underneath the fabric because it's so thin. So if I were to do this again, if I were to do a redo, what I think I would do differently is I would use the fusible interfacing to thicken the fabric to minimize the amount of the stitches showing through the fabric and still doing the needle turn applique technique in order to protect the edges from fraying. And I do like it. If you do like the frayed look, that's absolutely fine and you can just leave it as is and you don't have to worry about either of those two techniques. But I wanted to try something different because the first time that I did it, I didn't do any of those and you could see the fraying happening. But I just wanted to try something new and see if I had any preference, either or. And I would say it would just depend on my mood. One day I might like it frayed and another day I might like it clean looking. So yeah, it's a mood thing. But I'm super happy with how she came out. I also gave her a, we call it piko in Hawaii, belly button. I gave her a belly button and it's so super cute. And I think that's what she's named after, Tummy Teddy, because of her piko. But she can sit and she's got some toe beans. I forgot to mention last time that I spoke about her, this foot pad was actually done after the foot was already made. In the pattern, she actually has you do the foot pad and then do a color change into the regular leg color, whatever you want to. But I just started with this yarn that has all these many different color changes. And then only afterwards I decided I wanted to do the foot pads. So I ended up using Yarns Alara and making a separate circle and then attaching it on. So it's actually two crochet pieces on here. But in the pattern, it's actually just one layer. And you just do a color change. But the toe beans here are actually sewed on. For Tummy Teddy here, I used Baby Bee Soft and Sleek Baby in the colorway Hugs and Kisses, also known as XOXO, and Angel. I used embroidery floss in colors black, pink, and brown. I used the brown to attach the nose, the pink for the freckles and for attaching the snout, and black for the eye and eyebrow details. I used 12mm safety eyes, and with a 4-weight yarn and 3.5 hook, she stands at about 13.5 inches tall. And when she's sitting, She's 9 inches tall. I love this pattern. This is actually the second time that I've made it, and I find it easy to follow, and I haven't found any errors whatsoever in it. In last episode, I also mentioned that I used 2 different colorways for Tummy Teddy here. I used the whole entire skein of the XOXO colorway for pretty much the whole body, with the exception of the head. That's in the colorway Angel. And I also had to use some of the Angel for the base of the 2 ears. But for the most part, I used all of the XOXO. So had I started off with just this pink and recouped like the XOXO yarn underneath these foot pads, maybe I might have had enough to do the whole entire ear and then just use the angel color for the head. That's what I suspect. So, but I do like the fact that I use a solid color for the head because then you can see the detailing of the face. And I think she turned out really great. I'm super happy with how she came out. My next finished object is a frog doll from Irena Moilova, I believe, from Crochet Confetti. And you can find this pattern free on her IG account, her Instagram account, under Crochet Confetti. And this is how my frog doll turned out. I first introduced her in my last episode, so you can check that out. But I super love how she came out. Look at it, she's so cute. And she's this big. So Irena actually uses super skinny, thin yarn. I think she uses like a 1 weight or a 2 weight, but I prefer a 4 weight. So whenever I work up any of her patterns, I always know and expect my finished project to come out way larger than hers. So, but I'm still happy with how this one came out. So it's supposed to be a mini, and I believe hers is like even tinier, like super tiny. But I'm happy with this one. And one day I would love to try and make one of her mini patterns with cuddly yarn and see how that turns out. Because sometimes it's hit or miss if you use like a very different weight of yarn with some patterns. It may or may not work out. It just depends. Um, but I want to try that one day. And I love the way that she came out. So super cute. I love Irena's patterns. So far, I haven't found any errors, and I love her designs. I'm a big fan of hers. For this frog, I loved this cotton in the colorways olive for her hood and body, antique cream for her skin, brown for her eyes, and warm blush for her nose, her scarf, and her heart detail. Yarn Bee Cotton et Lin in the colorway Apple Cider, which is a discontinued yarn. Yarn Bee Pima Suprema in the colorway Copper, which is also discontinued. And Paint Box Erin in the colorway Light Champagne for the eyes. I also used embroidery floss in black for the eyes. With a 4 weight yarn and a 3.5mm hook, she stands at about 6.5 inches tall. My next finished object is this INES doll by Little LB on Etsy, and I will have everything linked down below, so please go check that out. And I did show her as a whip in my last podcast episode, but she is now finished. I finished her sneakers. I so love these sneakers. Look at how stinking cute is that. So cute. Now, this is her summer dress. And I have a button detail there, and she's got a collar. I gave her some blush, some eye details, her nose. Now, I have her bow here, and I thought I had alligator clips. I know I have it somewhere, but I couldn't find it. So I've made this pattern before, and the first doll that I made went to my niece, who is actually the reason why I started getting into crochet in the first place. But that story for another time. So this is the second time that I'm making this doll, and I absolutely love the way that she's coming out. So I'm gonna put an alligator clip on here, and so that you can, so that this bow will be removable. And let's see, she does have another dress. It's a winter dress, and she also has another pair of shoes that's a little more formal. And you can interchange any of these accessories to give her different outfits. Now, in order to make her different clothing, I had to play with multiple hook sizes in order to make them fit her properly. So if you notice when I go over the details of what I used, I did use quite a bit of hook sizes to make all of her accessories. For modifications, I did add one more additional stitch just in this pink section of her sneakers. So this toe part, it starts from the toe all the way up to the heel. So this white toe section I did according to pattern, but when I started this pink section, I did add one more stitch in order for it to fit. Otherwise there was too big of a gap in between here. So I did that one additional stitch all the way up to the end, and then in this first white row is when I decreased it down to the proper number of stitches and finished it off. Or here is where I decreased it and then I finished it off. Now, this particular pattern designer, I love and appreciate that she actually designs her foot. Let me just take off her foot. She actually has you crochet this shape foot. Unlike my crochet doll book, this doll actually starts off with straight legs. It's just a simple straight leg, nothing fancy. And this pattern comes from this book. But if you look at the foot, it's actually shaped, meant to look like this one, meant to look like this. But in order to get this to look like this book actually has you and expects you to do stitching. So I believe you're supposed to do some kind of special stitching in order to make it shape like this. And I would much rather have the crochet pattern shape it in such a way with regular crochet stitches to look like this. That's just my personal preference. So I'm actually dreading finishing and shaping this up. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, especially with the shoes, if the shoes are going to fit. So we'll see how that goes. So this is still my whip, my little Red Riding Hood from this book. So stay tuned for that. But I really appreciate that Liliana does write her pattern so that her foot is properly shaped as such. And then her accessories, are going to fit onto her foot properly. And look, you can tell. So I love this pattern. It was easy to follow. I didn't find any patterns. I love Liliana's patterns, although there is one of her patterns that I did have difficulty working up And I did mention that in one of my previous episodes. I'll try to have that link down below if I remember. But I did work 3 of her patterns, and 2 out of the 3 I had no problems, and I love, love, love her dolls. And one day I hope to collect them all. For this pattern, I used I Love This Cotton in the colorways Antique Cream for her skin, Ivory for her aubergine for her hair, khaki for one of her shoes, Ice Yarns Alara in the colorway Rose Pink for her dress, her bow, and her sneakers, Baby B Sweet Delight in the colorway Grape Jelly for her dress, and Angel for her dress, Yarn Bee Sweet Minis in the colorway Blue and Beige for the teddy bear, and Kartopu Amigurumi in the colorway Antique White for the winter dress edging. I used black embroidery floss for her eye details, and with a 4-weight yarn and a 3.5mm hook, she stands at about 17 inches tall. So the different hook sizes I use is 3.5mm for her body, 3.75mm for pretty much all of her clothing and accessories, except for the sneakers. In particular, I had to use 4mm hook, and then a 2.25mm hook for the bear. My next finished object is Pitsy Bunny. Now this is a free pattern that you can find on the designer's website, and this is by Leticia Delgado of La Crocheteria, and I love the way that she came out. So Leticia designs the pattern so that she has a crocheted inner ear, but I decided to go with a fabric detail so that I can enter her in the Amigurumi #Amigurumi mod hosted by Caroline of For the Love of Crochet and Cassandra of Craftably Ever After. And I will have all of their information down below in the description box. I also love the yarn choice that I use for her dress. It's super thin than what I'm used to, but I love using thin yarns with big big hooks because it gives it a nice handle and feel and drape for clothing for my dolls. So I'm finding that I'm doing that a lot lately. And this has a little bit of fuzz. I don't know if you can tell. A little bit of fuzz, and it's just so dainty and so girly looking. I mean, I know it's holy and stuff, but I don't care. I love the way that it came out. And I have a cute little wooden button detail there. Now, for this bunny, I used Premier Basics in the colorway Pecan for the bunny, and Yarn Bee 44th Street in the colorway Blush for her dress, which is a discontinued Hobby Lobby yarn. I also used embroidery floss in colors black for her eye details, white for her eyes, and pink for her nose and freckles. I used 9mm safety eyes, and with a 4-weight yarn and a 3.75mm hook, she stands at about 12 inches tall from ear to toe. I'm a big fan of Leticia. I love La Crocheteria patterns, and I find them easy to follow, and I haven't found any errors out of all of the patterns that I've worked of hers so far. My next finished object is a jellyfish, and this is how she came out. Now this pattern is designed by Elena of Blue Rabbit Toys. This is actually my favorite jellyfish pattern that I have that I own and that I have ever tried. I love the different textures of the tentacles. I enjoyed working each of them. If you want to try different textures of these chains, you should check out this pattern. It's pretty cool. I love it. I also love the shaping of her head. She's got a little bit of a wavy shape to the bottom of her face. So super cute, or her head. Now I did add this handmade ribbon bow. I glued it on. I'm not sure if it's stitched on or not, but I should if I hadn't already. Gave her some cheeks. And for this pattern, I used all of my scrap yarns. This is all made from scrap yarns. And this is by Yarn Sugar Will Cotton. All of it. So whatever scrap yarns that I had from previous projects, it came into this. I super love the way that it came out. So this is a scrap buster. I love this pattern. It was an easy to follow pattern and I did not find any errors. I love Blue Rabbit Toy patterns. She does some great designs. You should go check her out. With a 3-weight yarn and a 2.25 millimeter hook, she comes out to be about 10 inches long. Now I can't tell you exactly what color yarns that I've used because, as I mentioned, they are scrappy yarns, but whatever 3-weight yarns that you can find in your stash, just find some coordinating ones and it'll turn out great. I think what I'm going to do with her is maybe attach some fishing line, some kind of invisible fishing line or thread or whatever, and hang her up back there somewhere. I don't know, we'll see. Or maybe I might put her up in my Etsy shop once I get it going. But until then, she may be hanging out in the background sometime. My next finished object comes from this book, Lovable Amigurumi Toys by Mari-Liis Lille. Now, you may find that I have been working a lot of Mari-Liis Lille's patterns lately, and I love her books and I love her patterns. And I chose this little bee doll from her book, and I love the way that it came out. It looks like a sleeping baby in a bee costume. So super cute. Now this is the first time I've worked up this pattern, but I love the way that it came out. I do have one suggestion though. I would, if I were to do this again, which I hope to do later on, I would embroider the hair first before attaching the hood, only to make sure that it's tucked underneath. You don't want the hair to start outside of the hood. You actually want it to look like it's coming from underneath the hood. So that would just be my suggestion for you folks if you were to make this pattern. But just make sure that it's further underneath the hood wherever you intend to attach it, just to make sure that it's really tucked under there. That's my only suggestion for this pattern. I love this pattern. I found it easy to follow and I did not find any errors. Now for this pattern, I used Premier Basics in the colorways white for the body, black and mustard for the bee costume, light blue for the wings, and brown for the hair. I used black embroidery floss for the facial details. I also want to mention that I did embroider the eyes slightly differently than Mari-Liis. She had it angled much more than I did my eyes, but when I did it that way, it looked too drastic. And so I ended up just doing what I did here and it looked much better. But go ahead and play with your stitching your embroidery stitching for the eyes, because I had to modify mine differently. It just looked really weird when I first stitched it up. Now with a 4-weight yarn and a 3.75 millimeter hook, she stands up to be about 8 inches tall, not including the antenna. So I just measured from the top of the head all the way down to the bottom of the feet. Hi, it's Gail. If you're enjoying our video so far, please give us a like and a subscribe if you haven't done already, and share this video with your yarny friends. My next finished object is a doll, also from this book, and I chose the Arabella doll. Now this is how my Arabella doll came out, and I absolutely love the way that she came out. Now, normally I make my shaped heads a little bit different, but I was trying something new. I was just like, let me just try it and see how it turns out. And I remembered why I do my heads the way that I do. But anyways, from now on, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing because I know I have a preference now. So she has a little bit of not really a balloon shape, but down here, as you can tell, the shaping is a little bit more of the bottom of a balloon. I guess a balloon shape. I don't know how to call it, but normally I like from the neck, I like my heads to come out a little more drastically, like in this shape, and then come around to the top. So, but this is more of a gradual increase. So normally I do much more of a drastic increase from the neck. It comes out this way and then slopes upward. But nonetheless, I am super happy with how she came out. I I absolutely love her hair color. Now this was a happy accident. I just chose a yarn and I was like, oh, let me just see how it comes out. And it was just love at first sight. I am loving, love this color. I chose the color because I was like, well, I don't want to do a traditional blonde or black or brown or my favorite red color, which is the Hobby Lobby's I Love This Cotton in Aubergine, which is now a discontinued color, sadly. But I wanted something unexpected. And this color was unexpected to me. And it's like a pinkish, rosy pink color. But I absolutely love how it came out. And it matches her dress perfectly. Um, the way that the legs are attached are a little bit different than what I'm used to. Usually I attach them flat so that the doll can sit, but this was different and I wanted to try it like how the pattern says. So she can stand. Well, up to a certain point. Let's see. I guess she is a little top heavy, but I guess you can sort of sit her. Maybe if I didn't stuff it as much up here, you can sit her down. I don't know. I'll have to play with it. But I did have to stuff it really firmly in order to make her be able to stand up. So she can stand and she can sit up to a certain point. I did make her skirt one more stitch longer because otherwise, if you can tell, if I just lift it up ever so slightly, it barely covers her bottom. So I had to make it a little bit longer so, you know, she's not showing everything. But I just love dolls. I don't know. I wasn't much of a doll girl when I was little. I never played with dolls. I had dolls, didn't play with them. But I'm older now and I'm making dolls and I'm just thrilled to boot with them. I can't get enough of them. And I love the way that little kids react when they do see one of my dolls and when they get to own them. So that's what makes me keep going with making them. I love making them. Now, for my doll hair caps, I don't know if I mentioned this in any of my other, I probably did. I can't remember. But for my hair wig caps, I don't usually pay attention to the number of stitches to increase to or the number of rows to go down because I actually size my hair wig caps to my individual dolls. Um, so I make up the head first and then I just start off with 6 single crochets in a magic circle and then I increase up to a certain size that I know it's going to fit my head. And then I just crochet however many rows I need in order to cover the back of the head and reach a certain position that I'm happy and pleased with on the front of the face. And then that's just how I do my hair wig. So I, yeah. And then the number of stitches for it, because she does, the designer does have, you know, a certain number of stitches for the front of the hair and then the ponytails. I just improvise. So the original pattern calls for 5 scallops, but I actually had to add one more scallop in order to separate the ponytails and get it exactly to where I wanted it. Um, so yeah, I added one more scallop and then just finished it off. The ponytails are still according to pattern. I loved working up this pattern. I found it easy to follow and I did not find any errors. For this Arabella doll, I used Yarn B Yarn ID in the colorway Oats for her skin tone. I love this yarn in the colorway Ivory for her undergarment, I guess, and her legs. I love this yarn print in the colorway After Dinner Laughs for her dress, and Yarn B Soft Secret in the colorway Mauve for her hair. I used black embroidery floss for her eye details and a scrap 3-weight yarn for underneath her eyes. I used 12mm safety eyes, and with a 4-weight yarn and a 3.75mm hook, she stands to be about 14.5 inches tall. I also made these ribbons. I already had in my stash, so I just tied it and singed the ends to make sure that it doesn't fray and come apart. But if you wanted to, you could glue it on here. I don't have it glued in case the final owner wants to remove it and tie it on herself or himself. So yeah, super happy. So that concludes my finished objects, but I still have my whips to show you. And my first whip is this rainbow. This is the beginnings of a rainbow pillow. And it starts off like this. It looks like a cute little rug, doesn't it? Miko wants one of these for her room. It's a rug. And it's using this Bernat velvet yarn. It's so super soft, so cute. But this is going to be a pillow and it's going to have a face and legs because this pattern is by Marina Camber of Enjoy Toys Designs, and she is also the designer of this sun and moon pillow here in the background. And so I'm just trucking along with the rest of the patterns that I bought from her shop, and I am absolutely in love with how it's coming out. Now this is going to be much smaller than these two in the back because the Bernat Velvet yarn is much smaller than the other yarns that I've used for the other two. But I absolutely love the way that it's coming out. It's so super cute and I cannot wait for it to be finished. I absolutely love Marina Camber's patterns because they come with legs, or they don't come with, I mean, I gotta stitch them up, but the legs are so cute because you can just, I don't know, play with them. It's fun. Now this, as I mentioned, I'm using Bernat Velvet yarn with a 5mm hook. So stay tuned and see how this guide turns out in my next podcast episode, hopefully. My next finished object is a baby lovey, and I haven't made one of those in a while, except for the ragdoll style. But I haven't made the traditional baby lovey in a while, and this is what it's turning out to be. Now, this is a Frankenstein project. I am basically piecing different parts from different pattern designers in patterns. So this head comes from this book, Crochet Rag Dolls. Now this is the ragdoll style of a lovey, and that's this guy. So I'm using the head from the adult penguin, but the wings of the baby penguin, which is funny because I started working up the adult wings, and it was starting to look like really ginormous. And then I was like, let me try the baby one. And I much prefer the baby wing size, and I love the way that it's coming out. The adult size was way too big for my preference, and this is just what I'm doing. So I'm using the adult head but baby wings for this lovey. And then the lovey portion, this granny square blanket, comes from this book, which you've seen before on this channel, Snuggle and Play Crochet by Carolina Guzman Benitez. And it's the granny square blanket pattern. And I'm absolutely happy with how it's turning out. Now, my intention for this was not a penguin to begin with. I started off making the lovey with the intention of turning it into a zebra, and then somebody had mentioned a penguin, and I was like, oh, that's actually a great idea. So I ended up, I hadn't done the head yet. I was just working out this lovey portion. I hadn't started the amigurumi portion yet. And then I heard the penguin idea, and I was like, oh, I'm so gonna do it. So I did the penguin. I'm super happy with how it's turning out. I think the penguin matches much better. Now this is not black. This is a dark navy blue, as you can tell. And I think it works up to be a beautiful penguin. I think that's a great idea. I'm loving how it's turning out. And I cannot wait to put like the yellow beak or orange beak on it. What do you think? Should I put a yellow or an orange beak? I think either way, it's just going to look so super cute. Now I'm putting it here just for color so you can see this is not the beak if you're thinking. But yeah, I'm loving the way that it's coming out. Now this, I am using Premier Basix yarn and a 5mm hook. And I love the size of it. Now this will most likely be donated to my local charity of choice, which is why I decided not to use safety eyes, and I'm going to embroider the eyes to make it look either sleeping or happy, you know, like a upside down U shape for happy eyes, or sleeping for a U-shaped eye. So stay tuned for this one too. My next finished object is super cute, and it was a free pattern. I haven't looked it up yet to see if you can still get it, but when I got it, it was a free pattern, and it was a crochet along with Rikorumi Spring Amigurumi Crochet Along. I'm not sure if it was last year, 2022, or the previous year, 2021, but every year they host a free spring Amigurumi Crochet Along, and there is actually one going on right now for 2023, and I highly recommend that you go check it out. It is free on their website, and their theme is yummy food trucks, and it's so cute. You got to go check it out. I've already downloaded what they have right now, but I believe every Friday or every other Friday, something like that, they're going to release the next pattern. Currently, they have 3 patterns on their website right now available for you to download, and it's only available until June 30th of this year. So go check them out before it disappears. And they do this every year. I think they've done it for the past, I don't know, few years. I'm not really sure how long, but yeah, go check them out. I think I've downloaded their patterns for the last 2 years now, and they're free and they're great patterns. And this is a pattern, and this is a bear and his frog floaty. Isn't it so cute? Now, let me put it on here. So super cute. I'm not done with him yet. I'm not even done with his shorts because the plaid design on his shorts is actually hand stitched. It's hand embroidered. So it's taking me a while. But I am absolutely in love with the floaty and the board shorts and the bear. Just, it's a super cute pattern. I love the shape of his head and his body and the proportions of everything. I cannot wait to see this finished. Now, for this guy, I am using Premier Basics, and this is Lion Brand Heartland. And for his body, I am using a 3.75 millimeter hook. So super cute. So please go check out Rikurumi's website. You won't be disappointed. They have quite a few free patterns on there, and you should check them out every so often, especially for the crochet along. This particular pattern is designed by Little Bichons for the Rikurumi website. So thank you for watching and sticking around for this long. If you enjoyed this video, chances are you might enjoy our other podcast videos, and I will have a playlist link for you down below in the description box for you to check out if you're interested. Please give us a like and a subscribe if you're new here, and I hope to see you around. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.